Hi there. Well, I'm back on this pasture. And it's a bloody sight nicer up here now than when I was last here. Just beautiful. You couldn't want to be anywhere better at the moment. But we're not actually staying here. I'm just walking through on my way to another field, which I noticed has just been cultivated, which I don't know at all well. So it could go very well, it could go very badly. But on my way through, I had a terrible squawky signal. Really stretched out and nasty. But I dug it up. And it's one of the biggest. I can't remember what they're called. I think they're Colchester type brooches. The catch is about an inch on from where the actual catch is. So it would have been a beautiful thing at one point. I mean, he's an absolute brute. I've never found one quite this size, but just beautiful, and they're really quite early, these brooches. I can see where the spring would have gone round and the coil there. It's got a lovely little sort of point to it there. Still the catch, no pin sadly, but God, I couldn't ask for more than that. Beautiful object. Well, what a start. So exciting when you find something like this so early on. And from the sound of it, I touch and go whether I dug it. I thought it was just going to be a bit of misshapen iron. Anyway, as I said, we're not staying here, sadly, but hopefully where we're going is going to be even better. Well, I've got to my field, and I've been galloping round rather like I tend to do when I'm somewhere for the first time. I found a little Roman coin, very nondescript, and half of a spectacle buckle. I'm convinced there's stuff here. It's just got that feeling about it. We're quite high up, but it's been a bit sort of scratchy. But I've just dug what was a very wispy signal. Sounds all right now. And it's another little Roman brooch, and not only is it another little Roman brooch, but it's got its well, I thought it had its pin intact. It hasn't. It's the brooch has gone all the way round. It's been bent over. It's completely screwed up. That's why. I can see a bit of the spring there. It's not the pin. It's just gone right round. But it's rather a beautiful shape as a result, and it's brilliant because it means there is Roman up here. It doesn't feel like a sight necessarily. There's very little iron. Well, what I've come across so far, but we'll see. It's the very end of December, and I've had to take my hat off. It's too warm. But I have been wearing it, so I hope my hair looks okay. Well, it was fun up there, but there wasn't much doing. But mind you, I wasn't doing it particularly scientifically. I was galloping around rather, trying to find a hot spot, which is what I do tend to do when I'm first on the field. I think I may have said before, my first impressions of people is terrible. All the people I think are really nice when I first meet them turn out to be not so nice, and all the people I don't think are much fun turn out to be really nice. And it's the same with fields. I very rarely get on a field the first time and come away thinking, gosh, that's wonderful. And a lot of the fields I go on, which I think are rubbish, turn out to be really good. Anyway, after all that waffling, which gave me time to plug my new speaker system in, I'm back on the pasture, walking back to the car, and I've got a nice signal here. That's perfect for this field. That couldn't be better. It's not. It might be a cartridge, it might be a rifle casing. They often are, but it's just nice and deep. So what, at least 6-7 inches already. The more observant of you may have noticed this rather wonderful new toy I'm carrying. Someone who follows these videos very kindly sent them to me. It's a marker or a peg you can use it for all sorts of things, even digging in the last bits of the hole and stuff. It's just a brilliant tool. I don't know, I think he makes them, these, well, beautifully made and a lovely sort of hanger. I think they're for personal use generally. I don't know if he sells them or not, but do let me know if you may be interested and I can ask him. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to call this too early, but this has just got all the right. It's going to be a piece of horrible lead now, I know it, but it's just got all the way. Well, it's nice and high pitch, whatever it is now. Let's see. Well, that's bloody lovely. It's a horse harness pendant. I haven't found one of these in ages. I don't know what's on it, but there are definitely, I mean, there were leopards usually and lions and all sorts of things. I don't know on that. Would have to clean it up rather carefully, but that's beautiful. I knew that was good. I could just feel it. What a beauty. They date to sort of 1400, perhaps even earlier, I think. 1250 to 1400 is usually the date range they give these sort of things. Missing its loop there. Usually got something to hang from it there. Lovely shield, isn't it? Oh, I'm really pleased with that. Beautiful. Whoa. Look at that. Oh, I can see it now. Look, it's a sort of lion, rampant, I think they call it, don't they? With the sort of paws raised like that. Well, I'm really pleased with that. If nothing else, just a lovely. That might be the last thing we dig today.
Well, it wasn't the last thing we dug that day at all, as you'll see. And you'll also see in some upcoming videos, I've found some bonkers things in that pasture recently. I've done it so often, but I'm taking certain bits of it really carefully and all sorts of things are coming up. There's certain times I can be there for half an hour and find after find, and then I'll go back for 5 hours and not find anything. I'll record every live dig, take it really seriously, and there won't be anything up there. It's just, there doesn't seem to be much rhyme or reason. But I was, welcome to headquarters. I was really excited about this pendant because I don't find that many. I see them coming up in other videos and I see them coming up on the Detecting Hub and other sources of information. I'm always get a bit jealous of horse harness pendants. So this was a really nice find. It's a lion rampant. Now, I put it on the detectinghub.co.uk and Kath sent me a link of a very similar one that was found not that far away from where I found this one. 50, 60 miles, I suppose, but, you know, same sort of area. The Pass has it down as lion. I thought a lion doing that, standing upright or fairly upright, was lion rampant. The Pass had it down as lion passant. So I put that up on the Detecting Hub as well. And one of the other owners of the hub, there are 3, there's Kath and 2 men. That sounded rather odd. There's 3 of them. There's Kath, Bruce, and John. And Bruce gave us a definition because I asked for one, and he said that, and I'm led to believe that passant means that they are passing, they're walking, sometimes with a hand up, and rampant, I think I'm right in saying, is standing upright, or sort of you've just got the sort of bust of it looking like sort of that. Anyway, either way, there's clearly a big cat on it doing its thing with its tail and its paw and all the rest of it, and there would have been a suspension loop there. So it could have been hung. The horse harness pendants, they tend to date from the sort of medieval times, 1200 to about 1350. They seem to be purely decorational. The loop meant that it would be hung sort of off the bridle or off some sort of leather, sort of maybe lower down the body or the neck. There are certain appendages, which I've been very fortunate to find as well, which are sort of mounts with a sort of a loop and a hinge, of which then the harness, of which then the pendant hangs off that. So the whole thing would have looked quite spectacular. And if you were a grandee in the Middle Ages, and you wanted your horse and all the equipment to look fancy, presumably you would have decked it out with a few of these. They would really have been probably rather spectacular in their time, probably gilded, enamelled, all the rest of it. As I said, missing its loop, which is a bit of a shame. Apart from that, it's all there, and it's a really nice one, and I'm absolutely thrilled. I could be in better condition, could have some of the enamelling and etc. still on it, but that doesn't really matter. It's a really lovely early find, and I'm absolutely thrilled with it. Anyway, let's go back to the fields.
Well, I've dug a lot of these up here now, but not one quite like this. And this might give me more of a clue of what they actually are, if anyone can help me. I mean, they're very iron-based, with a non-ferrous squeak about them. They've definitely got some age. This one looks, it's not a ring, obviously, it's too big. But it's got a sort of roundish section to it with a sort of hole in it. I just don't know. Or would it have gone round something to brace it? I mean, they're quite unusual. I've not found these anywhere else, and I think they're quite early. So if anyone's got any idea, yeah, there is a hole. I've not found one with a hole. I've just found lots of sort of mainly ferrous rings. Now, if I'd bought the other tool this chap very kindly sent me, I'd be able to put a point through that. As it happens, I don't have that one on me at the moment. But I'll blow it. There we go. Now, I think those are old. I just don't know what they are. I'll put it on the detectinghub.co.uk when I get back. I bet someone there's seen them. Look. Well, my God, I said it last time I was up here, conditions could not be more favourable for detecting pasture. The depth I am getting is extraordinary. I'm not massively surprised with this one, as it's a socking great big lead weight. Or spindle wall. I don't think it's a spindle wall. It's not got that, just doesn't feel like that. I don't know how old it is, but I reckon jolly old. It's got a hole in it. I'm sorry again, I don't have my pin, my scoop, but there we are. Very cylindrical. I honestly thought that I had sort of semi-done this pasture. I don't think I have at all. I think on days like this, when you can be calm and relaxed, knowing that there are some very deep signals to be had because the ground conditions are perfect. It's been raining and snowing and it's just dried off a little bit. It's just so moist. But that's lovely. Another really cool old thing. Well, I think we might end on this one. It's so faint, I can hardly hear it, and it's either going to be fabulous or it's going to be rubbish. If my speaker is picking that up, but I can just about get a squeak from most angles, so it's going to be deep, whatever it is. It might just be a bit of lead, but I don't think it's ferrous. I don't think it's a nail or anything. The wind's picked up. I hope you can hear me okay. Still really faint. I think that's deep iron. Yeah, I can hear it now. Yeah, I'm afraid, I think it's so deep, I think we're going to have to stop digging. I'm getting something, it's just so... No, I think that's just too deep. I think that's really, really deep iron. Well, no. It's not as deep. Well, it's deep, but I thought that was going to be out of reach deep. It's not. Something is just there. It's out. Oh my God. Okay. Well... something that might be lead. Worth digging. Quite a fun dig, whatever it turns out to be. That was a foot more. It's a Roman coin. How amazing. Okay. An early one. So smooth. See a sort of goddess from that side just. What a beautiful coin. Nice big. So smooth. It must have had a long life. But the most wonderful portrait on that side. God.
I've said it in a video fairly recently, the amount of times, almost every single time, I get a really deep wispy signal and dig and dig and dig and dig. More often than not, it's a cartridge or a rifle round. I mean, it's still very exciting because you're pitting yourself with your machine to find the really deep targets. So you can congratulate yourself that you have dug up something with either copper, bronze, or sort of copper alloy, something like that. But they rarely turns out to be good. It's always a bit of a disappointment when you've got a really deep signal and you dig it up and it's a shotgun cartridge. I mean, as I said, pat yourself on the back because you got it, but it doesn't turn out often to be what you want it to be. So this little coin was really, really exciting. A tiny signal, you dig it, you decide to dig it, and you're rewarded with a very worn, very smooth ass. Now, I'm getting better at identifying my coins from the actual portraits themselves, but not as good as some people on the detectinghub.co.uk. I put it on that and they got it fairly quickly. It's Trajan. Now, it's lovely to find coins of Trajan because actually, after a pretty dodgy set of emperors, Trajan was a bit of a breath of fresh air, and he was emperor between 98 and 117 AD, so he had a good 20 years. And his reign saw serious expansion of the empire and great building reform of actually Rome itself. There are loads of things which are dedicated to Trajan, including, of course, the most obvious one is the column, Trajan's column in Rome. And he was succeeded by Hadrian. And that's when you get to, another set of really good emperors. Starting with Trajan, you're coming into a period of almost 100 years, I think, of good emperors. And I think I'm right in saying that he sort of started it all off. He was popular. Even contemporary sources are very positive about him. And looking at that now, you can see it's quite clearly, it's a really good bust. That pasture, coins come out of that pasture in incredible condition. And the fact that this is just, there's not much to go on, I just think it was very worn, just very used coin of its day. There's very little corrosion. It's just very, very smooth. And it's just really beautiful. It's exciting, that bit of pasture now for me, because it's suddenly, there's suddenly obviously a very Roman area. We found that enormous brooch. I looked it up in Hattat. I looked it up in Hattat, both in this one and another one that I've just acquired from a member of the hub, which I'm absolutely thrilled with. It's a pictorial view of all the brooches. So even though I'm missing 3 more books of Hattat's range of brooches, and my God, did he have a lot of brooches. This one is all of them. And then it tells you which book you can find them in. Now, this one is a Colchester type, which makes it 1st century AD, which is absolutely in keeping with this coin, and it's an absolute brooch. It's a big brooch, this, and I can find something fairly similar. It looks to me from these books that this would have had a huge catch plate, which would have gone like that, and it may have been decorated or have had holes in it. It wouldn't have been a small one. That's what it looks like. What's left? It wouldn't have been. It would have been big. It would have gone right out like that. And it's unusual in the fact that it's got 8 springs, 4 on each side, and I can pretty much get to the brooch itself from this book. But the one which is recorded here seems to have a much thicker, whatever this bit's called, tail, I presume. And this one is much more pointy, and I don't think that's because it's been damaged. I think that's the way it is. But as I said, it's really exciting, that area now, and I have been back 2 or 3 times since, and I'm finding loads of stuff. So my upcoming videos will be, I hope, quite exciting. There is a flip side to this, and that's that I am having an operation next week, which has been brought forward 2 months and given me absolutely no time to think about it. It's all a bit stressful and a bit worrying, but I think it's fairly common procedure, so we should, fingers crossed, we should be okay. But it does mean that I'm not going to get out. I'm not going to get out for weeks, but I do have a few, as I said, I have a few sessions backed up, so I can spend all day in bed editing, spending loads of time editing really exciting videos, hopefully. So I do have a bit to go on, but I'm not going to get out for a while. Yeah, so anyway, thanks very much. Tasky's outside having a whale of a time chasing stuff in the garden, so I'm not going to bring him in. Let's go back to the fields and see you soon. I think I may have run out of batteries on that camera. Doesn't last very long. I only took it out yesterday for a full day. It's already gone. So bye you. I've talked to you now. Well, I'm really thrilled with that. That was a bit of a lucky dig, because I didn't really expect that. Conditions are fabulous at the moment for this sort of thing. And here's rather a beautiful coin, not the earliest in the world, but a lovely patina on it, 1895, so it makes it a veil head Victorian halfpenny, I think, halfpenny. That'll clean up quite nicely. Very black. I love the black ones. I don't know why how they come out in that sort of colour. And then we're all at fault of seeing things in lead, especially when we first start out this game. But that is definitely something. I dug it up, and look, bit of crappy old lead, like all the crappy leady things we find. But then on that side, what on earth's going on there? That's not just any old design, is it? That's got something on it. That's meant to be something, I'm sure of it. Absolutely sure of it. Detecting hub, I'm going to get you on this later. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.